Hello everyone, this is Bishal Thapa and welcome to my final penetration testing project for XYZ Corporation, and it is for my ethical hacking and systems defense class. Before I start, I would like to draw your attention towards a recent news event. Um, there has been a cyber attack on a US pipeline. It's called Colonial Pipeline. That's been in the news in the recent days, and that has caused severe supply obstruction over the East Coast, and that caused a lot of panic among people of the shortage of petroleum. And these kind of events further necessitate the importance of penetration testing in a corporate network or any kind of businesses. As you can see, um, the Colonial Pipeline actually ended up paying hackers nearly 5 million in ransom, and experts believe that that's still a lot less than what it could have been. But one thing is for sure, it's definitely less than the money they could have spent in penetration testing project. So I'd like to start off by giving a brief introduction on what is penetration testing. Penetration testing is the authorized process of finding and using vulnerabilities to perform an intrusion into a network, application, or host in predefined time frame. It's considered a subset of ethical hacking. Penetration testing can be conducted by an internal team or an external third party. However, it is important to not be involved in anything that is not unauthorized or uncoordinated. So, what are the steps in a successful penetration testing? There's pre-engagement, scoping, intelligence gathering, threat modeling, and vulnerability analysis, enumeration and exploitation, post-exploitation if needed, and final report, which includes an executive summary and technical reports. So there are a few things to remember in a real world scenario of penetration testing. One of them is rules of engagement. It is a document that deals with the manner in which the penetration testing is to be conducted. It has to be predetermined with the company executives. The directives that should be clearly spelled out before conducting a penetration testings are the type and scope of testing, um, client contact detail, client IT team notifications, sensitive data handling, status meeting and reports, and um, obtaining permission is very important because that is the only thing that separates a penetration tester from a malicious hacker. Approved permission forms are your get out of jail free card. So there are various penetration testing standards that are benchmark or like milestones in determining what a proper procedure should look like. And some of those are NIST SP 800-115 standard, OSSTMM, PTES. The standards provide basic framework and baseline for the minimum that is required for a penetration test. And it also helps an organization in determining if the test was conducted properly. One of the documents that I can show, just a second. So here is a National Institutes of Standards and Technology guide to penetration testing, and you can go through this document, and it's a very tremendous help when you're a beginner, and it gives you all the important topics on penetration testing, as you can see. So moving on, um, upon our penetration testing of XYZ Corporation, we have summarized our findings. We found three critical risks. Two of them are related to pro-FTPD daemon, which is one of them is backdoor command execution, and then the other one is stack-based buffer overflow. The other one is critical risk is related to Apache version that is vulnerable to slow low-risk DOS attack. There is also the same Apache version that is vulnerable to code execution and privilege escalation. There is a medium risk vulnerability on OpenSSH bypass cell restriction, and we have found several low risk vulnerabilities that does not hamper the organization, but it's good to take a look at. The HTTP methods allowed per directory and Apache Banner Linux distribution disclosure and Apache HTTP server version detection. The recommendation that Spartan Security provides for XYZ Corporation are as follows. The vulnerable version of ProFTPD service is 1.3.3c, so it is highly recommended that the company upgrade to the latest versions of ProFTPD that is higher than 1.3.3c. And same with OpenSSH. The version 7.2p2 has a security bypass vulnerability, and the recommendation is to upgrade it to latest OpenSSH. The Apache 2.4.18 server root privilege escalation and code execution. That flaw also can be mitigated by updating the servers to Apache HTTPD version 2.4.39. And same with the slow low-risk attack mitigation. You can also update, and there is another thing that you can do that can help mitigate this issue is the web administrator or whoever is in charge should make adjustments to the etc apache2.conf file. That's the configuration file. And you should implement the request read timeout in the configuration file that will disconnect anybody that's taking too long to connect, so that there will not be a DOS attack. And finally, the Apache banner disclosure. In order to not expose the banner Linux distribution, edit the httpd conf file and set the directives to server token prod and restart Apache. This prevents from Apache sending out unnecessary informations for hackers to see. And I would like to give a quick demo on how we conducted some of the tests here and how easy it is to exploit the machine. I have included all the information regarding technical details in my final report. The first step we took was network discovery. We got the OVM file from our client, and then we installed it on the VMware, and we set it to host only network so that it is not accessible on the internet, since it's a potentially vulnerable machine. And we do not know the initial, like, the IP address, so we performed net discover command here, and we also ran an nmap, and then I know the other IP addresses, so it was determined the target machine was .131. And the next step was intelligence gathering, where we do an nmap scan and ran several of them and saved them as files so that we can reference them later. The first one is all ports, and then services and vulnerabilities, versions, and then the last one is for vulnerabilities. As you can see, it gives us a treasure trove of information of open ports and service and versions, and we can always refer to other resources to find if there's any existing vulnerabilities. And here's the output of the vulnerability script that we run. So As you can see, ProFTPD has a backdoor and other telnet stack overflow vulnerability, and it already gives us a hint on what path to take. And there's also several others for OpenSSH and Apache. And as you can see, we can tell that the HTTPD server is likely vulnerable to slow loris attack. And we also ran other scans that found a hidden secrets folder on the web application interface. And upon accessing that file, we found that there was a secret. Actually, it's mentioned right here during HTTP enumeration. Uh, we accessed a web page that looked like a blog, and it was WordPress. So we can further look into how to exploit WordPress using web attacks, web application hacking. And so here is our vulnerable machine, and here's the attack machine. I have created folders where I have recorded all the files during the process. And I found out that it is the easiest to go by the backdoor vulnerability that the ProFTPD. So let's do a search exploit. And there we go. We have backdoor command execution, and we can use the Metasploit. And Metasploit is easily available open source uh, tool that anyone can really use with very minimum knowledge. So it further demonstrates like how dangerous it is out there. Let's search for Pro. All right, we found an exploit. We are in. Now we can see options. All right, so this gives us what needs to be set. We'll set our hosts. Sorry, my window was acting up a little here. Now we can see our host is set, and all we need to do is run the exploit. That took merely some seconds, and now we have a shell session opened, and we can do ls and look at the contents. To improve the interactivity with the host machine, we can always spawn a TTY shell by using this command. Now you can see present working directory. Where let's go into etc. This is where all the passwords are recorded. And as you can see, we found the hash. It's a SHA-512, and this is the hash. We can crack it using John or Hashcat. And who am I? I'm root. So a root can easily change all of these passwords and create further destruction in the network. So there you go. Well, that was all. Thank you very much, and wish you um, good luck in future. And it was a very fun class, and thank you.